Hi guys, and welcome to Book and Loop, where happiness is handmade and the best boyfriends are always found in books. Which is especially true of today because it is the week of Valentine's Day, and I have decided that I am going to be giving you guys some of my all-time favorite fictional men that I would 100% ask to be my Valentine. And I will not be justifying those statements because if you read the book, it's pretty self-explanatory on why they would be good Valentines, right? In order to kind of like prepare myself for this video, I kind of limited myself because I feel like I could go on and on about all the different amazing love interests and characters and side characters and friends that I could have included in this video. So I did try to limit myself as much as possible. I mainly read YA. For the purpose of this video, I tried to only include characters or books where the characters were over 18, just because I feel like for obvious reasons. So I have 7 characters that I listed as part of my like fictional Valentine's Day Valentines. And then I have a couple of honorable mentions that are ones that were from YA books that I just feel like are worth pointing out. We have quite a bit to get through, and not a whole lot of time, so we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna get started. So the first fictional man that I would want to have as a Valentine is Kai Young from King of Pride, and that is the second book in Anna Huang's Kings of Sin series. So Kai is kind of set to be taking over his parents' company within the next few months, next few weeks, next few years. And they're having this big vote, and Kai has to come off very prim and proper, and like the company that he works for, they're very traditional, so he wants to make sure that he fits their values and what they're looking for. And Kai is kind of working towards doing that until he meets Isabella, and Isabella is kind of like this young and wild and free kind of girl. She wants to be a writer. In the meantime, while she's working on her story, she's been kind of working like odd jobs, bartending and waitressing, and doing what she can in order to get by. Her and Kai kind of have this like instant attraction to each other, and they kind of have to figure out how to navigate this world where Kai's family and the people that are around him aren't really accepting of Isabella, and she has to kind of decide like who she is as a person, and whether or not chasing her dream is worth all of the heartache that comes along with it. I think that Kai was a really interesting main character. He definitely was like one of those like super swoony love interest. So for those of you that like have seen Business Proposal, the K-drama, he does give very strong like second lead vibes from that show. Sung Hoon, I think is his name, and is the character's name. And I feel like that's like my my headcanon of what he looks like. He's just a good character. Like I really enjoyed his character. That library scene, I have not stopped thinking about it. I think he would make a really good Valentine. I think that he would be really, really caring and loving, and he would be able to now, you know, that he has been through all of these different things with Isabella, I think he would be able to put work on hold to kind of focus on you and make Valentine's Day a very special day for you. Next up, we have Jin from Tempest of Tea. So Tempest of Tea tells the story of Arthi and her adoptive brother Jin, and the two of them run this tea house within this city. And in the city, you have vampires that people like know they exist, but they're not exactly like happy about it. So the tea shop that Arthi and Jin run, it moonlights as a blood house for different vampires to come and drink blood at night from like, you know, a fancy little teacup, kind of like more refined and dignified way of getting their sustenance. So this book was like really amazing, and I cannot wait for book 2 to come out. Pretty sure it's called A Steeping of Blood, I want to say. But I'm excited for that one. I think it's gonna be really good. So Jin is kind of just like this like really fun, lovable character. He has like all like the good one-liners and zings, and he's like very suave and charming, and I don't know, he's just like a fun character to read about. Like I could just see him like, you know, coming in and sweeping you off your feet and like all that different stuff. So I just think he was like a fun character. Like he would have really like great banter and like really know how to like make the date fun, you know. Next up, we have Gus from Beach Read by Emily Henry. Gus, I think, out of all of Emily Henry's leads, with the exception of Funny Story because I haven't read it yet, I feel like Gus was my favorite overall. I just found him to be, I don't know, like there was just something about him. Like he's like a little mysterious. He is a writer, which I loved, and it's just like an overall like interesting character. Like the way he like conducts his research, and like the juxtaposition of like his writing with his personality was just very interesting to me. Like, I just found him, like, I don't know, something about him. Just, love Gus. Beach Read is about January and Gus, and they are kind of like college enemies, rivals kind of thing. They had like a small little fling when they were in college, and then they didn't really like get along after that. And now it's years later. In January, her father passed away, and she goes to this beach house, and she's like trying to like sort through her father's things. She found out like once her father died that he was having an affair with somebody, and she's a romance writer, and she's struggling now to write this romance, kind of seeing the aftermath of her father's death and the affair and how that's affected her mother and how it's affecting her, and she's struggling. At the same time, you have Gus, who happens to be in the house next door to January, where she's staying in her father's old beach house. And Gus is also struggling to work on his manuscript. And the two of them kind of decide they're going to switch genres and see who could write a better story in the other person's genre. And of course, they fall in love along the way. I always say that Beach Read is my favorite Emily Henry story, and it really is. I do love Happy Place. I find that I relate a lot to Happy Place, different aspects of it. But Beach Read just holds a special place in my heart. I think it's just because, as somebody that wants to be a writer, I love reading stories about writers, so it makes it a lot more fun. So that's Gus from Beach Read. Next up, we're going to talk about Roman from Divine Rivals. This is one I debated putting on the list because he is kind of on the younger side of things. And while Divine Rivals is a YA book, Roman is 20, so I decided it was okay to include him on this list. Divine Rivals has the story of Iris and Roman, and they are war correspondents during this major war between the gods that's going on. It takes place like vaguely around like the 20s-ish. But it's a fantasy world, but like the general vibe is like around the 20s. Each of them has a typewriter, and these typewriters, they kind of are like imbued with magic, and when Iris writes a letter and she puts it under her door, it will be sent to Roman. And same thing for Roman. When he puts his letter under his door, it will be sent to Iris. And they're able to communicate that way. Roman knows that Iris is the one sending the letters, but Iris doesn't know that Roman is the one responding. There's kind of like a little bit of tension there because they both work at the same paper. They're kind of rivals at the paper, trying to, you know, get the best stories and all that. So when Iris decides she's going to go to the front lines, Roman decides that he can't just let her go on her own, so he follows her to the front lines. I just found that this was like a very sweet book. It probably was like in my top 5 that I read last year. Like, I really just think it was really good, and I really enjoyed the story and the plotline. So I just find that Roman was like, I don't know, like so pure and like very sweet and so well intentioned, and he had that inherent need to protect Iris, but at the same time was able to like step back and let her flourish. So I just think he was a good character. He was just, you know, overall an enjoyable character. And that's, I think, majority of these characters on this list are really just like characters I enjoy, characters I feel like I can have a good conversation over dinner with, you know. Next up, we have Cassian from A Court of Thorns and Roses. I'm pretty sure from like the moment that Cassian came onto the page that I fell in love with him. I was just always so enamored by his character. I like how he's kind of like the guard dog, the watchdog, but he's also like really funny. Like, I think he has a good personality. I really always end up falling for like the comic relief character. I just find that they're enjoyable. I like a character that can make me laugh. I think that it makes the story a lot more fun. So Cassian is absolutely 100% on my list of fictional men that I would want to be my Valentine. So A Court of Thorns and Roses, the first 3.5 books tell the story of Feyre, and Feyre gets pulled into the fairy realm from the human realm after she accidentally kills a fae for like retribution. She has to like go live in the fairy world, but there's something going on in the fairy world that is causing some issues with the magic and the people there, and Feyre kind of has to figure out what's going on. That was like a horrible explanation of what A Court of Thorns and Roses is about, but that's what I got right now. That's all my brain can handle right now. I'm kind of just going off the top of my head right now, so sorry if I butchered that. So Cassian doesn't actually wind up coming into the series until the second book, but he wound up immediately owning my heart. I just love him so much. I think that he's just a really great character. I love when we get to A Court of Silver Flames and we get to start to see him kind of really flourish as a character, and we get to see him in the context of a love interest as well. And I just feel like, I don't know, I just like him a lot. Like, I feel like he is so loyal, and caring and soft, while at the same time being such like a strong warrior. Like, it's just, he's so fun. Like, he's such just a good character to read about. And sticking on my kind of train of funny characters that I think would make good Valentines, I couldn't help myself. I of course had to include Ridoc from Fourth Wing on my list. I was gonna include Xaden, but I decided not to for the fact that I feel like he I don't know. I just feel like I wouldn't enjoy him as Valentine. I don't think he's an overall great communicator or expresser of emotions. Ridoc, a lot more straightforward. He'll tell you what he's thinking. You're gonna laugh, you're gonna have fun. You're gonna probably go out dancing at a club. It's gonna be a really great time. So I think Ridoc would just make a way better Valentine. I actually included 2 people from Fourth Wing. I couldn't help myself. The next person is like someone I don't really necessarily know would make a good Valentine, but I just would want them to be my Valentine. And that is actually secretly Dain. I love his character development. Sometime around like, I don't know, probably like March or April last year, I started to really think about Dain's character and who he was, and I don't know, I kind of started to, I don't know, feel bad for the guy. Like, I feel like he gets a bad rap, and it's not always warranted. I feel like he was kind of led astray a lot, and I think at his heart, he's a good person. I think Onyx Storm really solidified that for me. I really feel like he really flourished as a character. We got to get to see him have a little bit more of a personality outside of like that I love the codex and literally nothing else matters to me. So I really do think that he is a good character. I think he's a good person, and I think that warrants him being on my list of people that I think would be good Valentines. I feel like, especially in the context of like Onyx Storm, so like if you haven't read Onyx Storm, then like mute and then come back after you've read it. I feel like you really get to see it a lot in Onyx Storm, where he kind of has this desire not only to protect but also to kind of be the person that you can rely on, and I feel like that's very valuable in a person and in a friend. So we see him like in the scene where he is, you know, Violet's kind of giving him directions, and he's just going off and he's doing what he needs to do and doing what needs to be done in order to help her out in this moment. And I feel like, I don't know, stuff like that. Like, I'm like, yes, you are a good person. Like, you are loyal, you're helpful, you're doing what you can in that moment. Like, there are a couple of moments in Onyx Storm where you kind of have Dain really step up and help people out, and he's caring, and I feel like people hated that he was like too caring in the first 2 books. But not me. I see you, Dain, and I appreciate you, and I would happily take you as a Valentine. So that is everybody that I would include on like my main list, and then I had 3 honorable mentions that I'm just gonna quickly point out. So the first one was Adam from the Raven Cycle. I just always loved Adam. He's like one of those like soft characters you just want to like wrap in a blanket and give a hug. He just needs a hug. Like, that poor boy just needs a hug. I love Adam. The next one is Maven. Maybe controversial because he's a villain. He's not a good guy. He's not a good guy at all, but I still love him, and I think that he's a great character. His whole character arc, tragic backstory, and everything was just like so perfect, and I think that he's so much fun. I love him. My last character is not a book character, but it's my video, and what I say gets to be in the video. And the last one is Sanji from One Piece. So I've been like binging One Piece, and I just find that he is another character that I just feel like would make a really great Valentine. But since he's not a book character, I put him on the honorable mentions. I just feel like, how do you not love him? Like, he would be so caring and attentive, and he would like make you a full 3-course meal and like make sure he had the wine that you liked and like all that different stuff. I just feel like he would be a great Valentine. So yeah, that's gonna be all from me. Those are all of my fictional men that I feel like would make good Valentines. Yeah, so I think that's gonna be it, and I hope everybody has an excellent Valentine's Day. I know I will. I will be reading all day Valentine's Day. I'm actually doing a book discussion at my job for Divine Rivals, so we'll see how that goes. I'm hoping people will show up. I got like cute little Valentine's Day candies and stuff to hand out, so we'll see. So yeah, that's gonna be all from me. I hope you guys enjoyed, and happy Valentine's Day and happy reading.